Festwochen Podcast mit Clarissa Stadler und Nada El-Azar. Die Wiener Festwochen danken ihren Hauptsponsoren Erste Bank und Wiener Städtische.
Hello and welcome to the official Wiener Festwochen podcast. My name is Nada El-Azar. Today I'm joined by not one, but two featured artists, Marlene Monteiro Freitas and Sofia Jernberg. Together they are collaborating on Pierrot Lunaire, an adaptation of the melodrama of the same name by composer Arnold Schönberg. Sounds like we have a lot to talk about. Welcome, guys. So, Marlene, you're no stranger to the Wiener Festwochen. You participated in 2014, 2016, 2019, and you got really good reviews on your performance called Mal in 2020. Now you're back with Pierrot Lunaire, which was actually commissioned by the Wiener Festwochen. Can you explain how and why you have been chosen to take this on?
Well, it has been quite some time that Christoph that we talked about this piece from Schönberg. And the last time I was here, then we decided to go for it. I think it's also the context that we are just coming out from different lockdowns, as I'm working with people coming from different countries, and Mal was such a heavy project to put together because we had to interrupt it before because of the lockdown, and then afterwards we put it together in different ways, and there was a kind of a moment of celebration when we end up performing it, that I think after we said, okay, let's do this, that we've been talking already for some moments. And
so you have been familiar with this piece before?
Familiar. It's hard to say I'm familiar with the piece. Maybe now I'm getting a bit more familiar. It's like I knew it, but it's hard to know it. I knew it.
Just a little backstory for our listeners. The inspiration for the original song cycle came from a collection of poems by the Belgian poet Albert Giraud, and they are circling around the figure of Pierrot. And Pierrot is a stock figure of pantomime, often exposed as naive but gullible character, and he frequently falls for other people's tricks. What makes this specific figure, and maybe on a broader scale also pantomime, so interesting for you as a choreographer, Marlene?
I think it's a figure full of contrasts, and I'm always attracted to this kind of forces that are pulled in different or even opposite directions. There is tension, and sometimes there are shocks that, for me, it's always an interesting and active moment when there are small shocks of ideas. Shocks, I don't know if I say that.
Small, like sparks of
small,
ideas.
Yeah. And this produce energy and produce something always.
What kind of tensions?
Something.
What kind of tensions do you mean? Can you explain it a little bit further?
There is.
I mean, Pierrot is kind of I don't know. He seems to be sad, but he's also like very, naive, and he always tries to get the girl.
Yeah,
but never succeeds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not something foreign to us. I think we can be all, any of us can be a Pierrot.
He's very relatable.
Yes, very much.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be both tragic and parodic and lyric and sadist, cruel and cute and joyful and innocent. Or I think it's for me, the poems and like the it's a sense of a journey. It's as if we are doing a journey into one's body. Like it feels he goes very close from the images he gives, from his reflection into himself until the bone, until the flesh and the bone. There's something like very, for me, in the sequence of poems and also with the music of Jernberg, there's something that goes from the projection until the very inner bone and flesh, and this I like. And about the opposite direction is also true for him. So
and also in terms for like pantomime as a way to move. Like, can you explain why you're so fascinated with it, or how did you kind of like take your imagination and put it into motion?
I can't say I'm more fascinated by pantomime than the words of Giraud, than the music of Schoenberg, or than the figure of Pierrot, which is much more than the pantomime. That is so it's and I got to know Pierrot from Carnival. I before knowing he was a figure from Commedia dell'arte. For me, he was a Carnival persona, and this is very close to me. I think pantomime is as interested as any other form of language, and I don't know. For me, it's very interesting. I can't tell you. It's not the first thing that attracts me, or the thing I would point. It's the whole thing together. Yeah.
Okay, now to you, Sofia. You have more of a background in jazz and experimental music. And how did this collaboration with Marlene happen?
I think it was luck. Because we didn't know each other from before. I don't know who, maybe somebody put in a good word for me, I don't know. But I was very happy when I received the question. And I really like Marlene's work, what I've seen from before, yeah.
So you were in Vienna before, but not as a part of the Wiener Festwochen?
Yeah, I don't know any of the people before. And I have done some performance art-ish things before, but it's not my main my main focus or whatever. So I was really lucky to have this. It came as a big surprise when they contacted me.
You actually have sung Pierrot Lunaire before in 2010, as far as I can remember. And in the program it says you're an experimental vocalist. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think it's like a more theoretical, like to avoid can you do I think, sorry, I'm just jumping in my own head simultaneously as speaking. No, but I have no training. I have never gone to any higher education.
You're not classically trained in them,
or even jazz. I have nothing in music on university level. So I'm not an autodidact, but you can call it that if you really want to. But I went to the choir school, and so I learned things when I was a child. So I call myself experimental in order to be able to kind of so that the people like Marlene, for example, it's really clear for her that I can do things that normally you wouldn't be able to expect. It gives you some freedom. Yeah, so it gives me a freedom and a signal also to the people I work with that I'm really flexible.
But you're very okay with the label experimental.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's just a word. I like it.
Yeah. I listened to Pierrot Lunaire, And I must say it's very expressionistic and unusual. It's nothing like I've ever heard before. And Jernberg also composed it before he invented the famous 12-tone technique. Can you tell us as a singer where the challenges in this piece are?
Oh, wow. I mean, also like with Marlene, that when she spoke, it's a completely like massive piece. Mm-hmm. You really have to take care all the time. But basically, I would say to know where the pitches are, even though you shouldn't sing them like fully with full body, you need to know where they are, and you need to also understand what the musicians are playing, what the pitches they have. And so the sound world, just from the traditional sense with the pitches, is really like massive and not like a pop song.
So what you're saying is you have to kind of think of it as going to the fullest, but then you reduce yourself in order to achieve this kind of like vocal, quality of not really singing like opera style, but it's also not speaking in a way. So it's somewhere in between.
Yeah, but still I have to know where the pitch is. So I can't just I can't be relaxed and do this quasi. I have to know exactly where the pitch is, so that you will hear if I don't know that.
Can you maybe give us an example, because it?
Whoa, shit! I will try.
Don't be shy. It's just three of us, really.
I don't know now, but like let's just hope that I'm correct now and with the sound. But in the beginning, if I would sing it, I would be like this. Den Wein, den man mit Augen trinkt. That's the pitches. But I'm kind of, as we work now, like do. Den Wein, den man mit Augen trinkt. So it's but I know ba 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 in my head. Yeah.
Okay, it's really interesting, and because it's such a specific style of singing. And for you, in terms of motion, Marlene, how do you kind of translate what she is singing into what the people on stage are dancing?
Okay. It's not really, there are only musicians on stage. It's only the ensemble, and it's only the group of musicians. And for me, it for the project, I don't know how it will end up, but it's interesting to think that each one of them is a Pierrot. So it's not an ensemble playing for a Pierrot to accompany, and musicians are delivering the music and the singer is singing. There's something, I think the choreographic aspect comes from the music, from the score, from the situation they will be in. Of course, with reading the poems, I come with some ideas that I call like some main axes that will help us structuring the piece and working on it. But for me, it's we can work on the singing together. It's not that the musicians are working alone in a room and then they put on the music. No, we work together, and I think it's more interesting like that for me. I don't think the motion part and then the singing part and then the music part.
How many people are involved in this?
There are 7 on stage, which is an important number for Jernberg.
And Sofia is singing solo.
Sofia is singing solo, but in the idea of Jernberg, the singing is also an instrument as much as the cello and the violin and the other ones. So there is the conductor and all the instruments and the singing, so as another instrument.
Very interesting. Sofia, I haven't asked you, do you feel any special connections to the figure of Pierrot? Because you know the piece so well, and I guess.
I understand. Also, it's nice. They are also using their voices, just to say that I'm not the only one using my voice.
So the dancers are also...
Yeah, or the musicians. We don't know. But as from yesterday, we at least tried that, which was really nice for me. So I'm not like... whatever. If I know... I feel a very strong connection with this piece because it's completely crazy. And I really like that. It's very intense. And if it's about the figure of Pierrot, I don't know, because I don't really think in that way, like from that thing. But I have learned a lot about the figure of the Pierrot in this process, which has been really nice. So it's deepened my knowledge broadly. But the music is really intense, and I tend to like that kind of music. Yeah.
Did you rehearse this piece here in Vienna? How much time did you spend here? Did you get to see the city a little bit, or
very little? We had the first period only with Sofia. We worked together, and then this week was the first week I worked with the musicians, and we worked some days, and then they stopped, and we worked some days with Sofia, and now we are back together. So it's 1 week and non-stop. So there's not.
So you don't have much time to
do. Yeah,
I mean, there's also not much to do really in the lockdown.
Yes, maybe I just add something that because we spoke about the music a bit in a sense that we need to resist something. I think there's both direction. I have the impression if you do, I don't know, I'm not a musician, but if you do it only through resistance, it doesn't work. It's as much as Pierrot, it's always contrasts. So he gave lots of very precise instructions. I don't know, notes.
Yes, completely instructions
on that, which already musically works the intention. Like he gives this kind of information that the intention is musically written, and sometimes in the way he works on music and text, it really proposes this kind of it's like something you need to use your body, your flesh, because it goes in both directions. I have the impression it's desire and resistance, and Pierrot somehow has this in its nature.
It's also kind of what you do with your voice, it's like wanting to go to the top and then kind of like creating a tension.
It's in the music, completely.
Yeah.
It's in the music. Just like she said, I mean, of course, we tried some of the more freer stuff, like just for a workshop. That was really nice. But in Jernberg also really wrote it in. Like, I think that's what you are, as I'm interpreting now, really wrote it in, this kind of tension. And yeah, of course, there's a little part of me in there, but I'm really trying also to go with the intention of Jernberg, which is very strong and very precise.
So it's very pointy and
and also very interesting how he selected the poems, because Giraud's poems are it's around 50 if I'm not wrong, and he's working on 21 poems. So the selection he made, the sequence he created, and then also the pauses in between, how he structured them, how he chose like a length pause, a significant pause, go immediately. There's something also between this and the words of Giraud that is very, very interesting.
Do you have a very tricky one? Is there one poem that really messed with you in some way?
No, I think it's a general thing. It's I think what is fascinating about this work, it's mysterious somehow inquietante, and the interesting thing is to approach it and keep it mysterious at the same time. I don't know. It's interesting. Galgenlied is like we always say it's the shortest song you ever heard. It's like and it's delivered like that, like you pour water, like and it's done. You know, and this is a physical. These are intentions. This is it's clearly said. I mean, even if at the same time obscure, it's clearly said. It's fast. It's intense. It's one gesture, one action.
Because I mean, it's about hanging.
Maybe not. Maybe it's a metaphor.
And do you have a favorite poem or one that really stuck with you in some way?
Yeah, I really like Galgenlied too, and I really like
Krankemoon.
No. I mean, I like it. Of course, I like everything. Wow, it's so great. No. If I have to like choose one, Galgenlied is one of my favorites, and also number 4, Die blasse Wächtchen. And the last one, 21, I find so beautiful. Like it's one of the most beautiful ones ever. So in the whole of music, like kind of. Like this one I really like.
Yes.
Maybe that's the one I like most. I don't know.
When I think you first performed it in 2010, and I don't know, did you do it in between until now also, or did really like 11 years pass in between the first time?
Yeah, no, I've done it, but not like in 2010. I did several performances of it. And that's really helpful also now, because I think some of the work I've done is still inside.
It's still in there.
Yeah, but it's a long time, but still. I did it, but that has been like one concert there, one concert there, one concert there, which is nice also, and continues this journey.
So it's like a muscle that you have to exercise again. Yeah. It's like when you don't train for a long time, then you go back and then you go there, and it's like, it's not like the very first time, but it's kind of hard to do. Yeah.
Completely.
Now I would really just want to know, how did tell me a little bit more about working together. So where were the challenges? Where did you get along very well? Where did your kind of opinions differ a little bit from each other?
We haven't had any conflicts or like this, like oh shit, I don't really like this, massive disagreements. For me, it's really, really, really challenging in a positive sense to tune into Marlene and also Ingo. I'd like to lift into this conversation. They are really working on a very high level, and I've been like in COVID mode for a long time. So it's more like tuning into that, and I like to work on that high level. I am really into it, you don't really relax all the time. I'm like, yeah, well, oops, I missed that, So it's mainly that for me, to tune into like, hey, now we're back in the concert, and now I'm working again. And doing that, and this is really inspiring for me, and I'm really happy and thankful for that. Yeah.
Yes, I think she used a very nice word. We tune. We are tuning, but also as even in previous pieces, I never worked only with dancers, professionally trained. I work with musicians, with actors, with people who just would like to have an experience on stage and things like that. So for me, choreography is not only like a kind of category that is that only some people are on the realm of choreography, and somehow I have this naturally in me. So when I'm working with other people, I'm very attentive and welcoming wherever is there, because also the material I work is this. It's human. It's I work with people. So yeah.
Can you imagine Can you imagine working together in the future as well?
For me, yes, of course. Yeah.
Yes. No, it has been a great pleasure working with the musicians, with Ingo, with Sofia, also with the Festwochen. It's
very nice. As the listeners will probably be now as well, I'm hugely excited for this piece. I wish you all the best for your final rehearsals. And Pierrot Lunaire is going to be shown from the 16th of June until the 19th in Halle E in Museumsquartier. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Yay!
You were listening to the official Wiener Festwochen podcast. My name is Nada El-Azar and my guests were Marlene Monteiro Freitas and Sofia Jernberg. Designation was by Ursula Winterauer and goodbye from Studio Wunderbar.